If you're like other expats living in Germany, you might think that the German statutory system will suffice for you during retirement, especially given your most likely top earner status in Germany, right? We're here to tell you that this is not true, even for born and raised Germans. As an expat, you have two main disadvantages that make the threat of old age poverty even greater for you. One, expats moving to Germany start provisioning way too late, most likely due to lack of access to qualified information in a language that they can understand. Two, you have paid into many different systems worldwide, but are unlikely to receive enough from any of them. What if we told you that regardless where you come from, if you're settling down or just passing by, today you can make sure to secure the future you envision? Meet HorbachExpats and make use of all the benefits that your expat status in Germany has to offer. Digital, flexible, hassle-free. 6 languages for you to choose from to navigate this new situation. We are the experts we wish we would have had when we moved to Germany. We strive for collectively achieve change through our pioneer multilingual financial planning services for expats living in Germany. Together with our experts, we assess your portfolio and unique goals and tailor a roadmap for you to achieve your own understanding of financial freedom. Make sure it is not too late. Swipe up or click on the button below to make an appointment. We're looking forward to getting to know you. We are HorbachExpats because financial freedom should be a right, not a privilege.
Can you share some information related to the company pension schemes or tax benefit, health insurance in a generalized way? These 3 topics.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you one tip about each one of them.
Okay.
Tax savings. If you want to save taxes in Germany, long-term planning is your greatest asset.
Okay.
And a very good work with a fiscal advisor, which is basically the other side of the coin to what we do. Our network has many of them, so basically working with them together to make sure that you make the most out of your money. For health insurance, health coverage, there are 2 systems in Germany. You have either the privilege to be able to change into private for better coverage, or you can stay in the statutory system if you do not qualify for the private system, or you can take out like building blocks from the private system and complement your coverage from the statutory system. So that is an option. Know it. And for some people who later on are able to qualify for the private, even as a student, you can already get it checked and free yourself basically like a golden entry ticket so that you later on get accepted without a new health check. So that is one tip for you. And regarding the company pension schemes, for all of you who are going to work in Germany or are currently working, you should know 2 things. As an employee, it is your legal right to request it. And as an employer, they're legally compelled to offer that. As soon as anyone raises their hand and says, hey, what is it about company pension schemes? What are my options? They have to provide some sort of option for them and at least give them the information as to how to go about it. So we do have experts doing this every day. And the take-home message is most people are not aware of this yet, sadly. So this is the most important thing. And to make sure that you reach out and have a plan that suits your needs as an expat as well. In Germany, you have the statutory pension system, right? So which is supposed to be for your old age.
Okay.
Since that does not suffice, there are 4 to 5 other different variants that you can do, one of them being company pension schemes, and they made it compulsory so that you can fill that gap left by the statutory system. So that guarantees that basically you have no guarantees with the statutory pension system, and then you have other types of pension that you can go for depending on your risk mentality, depending on your employer status. So is it, are you an employee, are you a freelancer? What are you allowed to do? And then what makes sense, because are you staying in Germany, are you not staying in Germany? Do you want tax benefits? Do you want flexibility? And then you choose from these options as well. So theoretically, yes, they have the same aim that you have something later on for your pension, But all of these different options that you have provide you with different benefits on top as well.
Yeah, but again, in the long run, these both options, if we go with both, they can complement each other in the long run.
Yes, of course. They are meant for that. That's why they're making it compulsory for companies to offer it, so that employees are a little bit better off than they would be if that wasn't.
So this question is from the audience. They have asked, like, for example, if someone is working in Germany, for example, they work for a limited time period, for example, 5 years. And after 5 years, they decide to come back to their home country. For example, they decide to come back in India. So for the pension, like they have like paid for the 5 years, will they get back if they come back in India after 5 years?
So this is a little bit related to where did you pay into? Did you pay into, well, as an employee, you were compelled to pay into the statutory system.
Okay.
And then do you have a pension separately, like a private pension, be it a Riester private company pension scheme, normal pension? Do you have something like that? So there are two different cases there. If you go the private way, any of the other options that you need to close your gap, depending on the product that you go for, the age when it would be wise or when you're even allowed to access that money from somewhere else in the world. The option where you pay into the statutory system, then you have a distinction there. So normally in Germany, you need to pay into the system for at least 5 years, normally,
Okay.
to be able to benefit from the system, even at all, to receive anything at all. There is one exception to that, which is basically when you've worked in different European countries, then the regulation changes. So theoretically, yes, in 5 years is the minimum, and then what you've paid into, which is a very low sum, then basically that would come out and would be paid into when you enter retirement age. If you claim it by then, you need to proactively claim it. The issue that we're having now is that lots of times people have trouble claiming it, or they have trouble like showing that they had this period that they paid into, that they have all the documents for that. And also the fact that the pension itself says it's not guaranteed, and like they don't know what's going to happen because the system is faulty. They can't even guarantee that for people who've been paying 35 years. It's kind of a really tricky situation where people tell you, well, theoretically, yes, you're entitled to it, but in 30 years, we don't know.
But again, like for example, after 5 years, though we are theoretically entitled to take that, but my question is, it's not in Germany. I'm not in Germany. I'm going back to my home country. So, but what is it complicated? The situation, like if I have to move back to my home country.
It's a little tricky because, well, India, you guys are lucky because Germany has a social security agreement with India.
Okay.
But it is not the case for many other countries. And that's when it gets really difficult. When you have a social security agreement, then it's a little easier because you get to claim your pension a little easier. The process, the bureaucratic process behind it can work.
Okay. And
So
again,
it's
yeah,
better.
it's not like the 100% we get. It's like some percentage from that we get. Because I heard like if for 5 years if we are putting X amount, so after 5 years we'll not get that X amount 100%. It's some percentage of that X amount we get after that 5 years if you want to claim it back. Is it?
That's the issue, because you would think that the statutory pension is investing the money being paid into. That is not what's happening. That is going directly into the pensioners that need it right now. And that's how the system basically is broken, because that money is not doing anything. It's just there. And if they cannot guarantee that there are going to be enough younger people once you retire so that they can cover your share, then they cannot guarantee to you that there's going to be as much as you're entitled to. And yes, there are some deductions or fractions on that depending on how much you paid into in general, like as a period of time, and also the country that you moved back to. So there are regulations.
What are the best brokers in terms of ETF in Germany? So if you can share some highlights on this topic, I mean, just a quick discussion on this topic.
There are many different ways that you can invest into ETFs. There are many different portfolios, different banks. We work with two main banks. For example, we work with eBase, we work with the Augsburger Aktienbank. We help our clients set up depots in that area and select which ETFs or which financial instruments, like in general, funds, bonds, shares, etc., what do they want to include into their portfolio, and analyze it for them, and then help them set it up. So that is usually the way to go. There are some people doing it themselves who do it online and so on, but for that, I would only recommend that if you have had experience with the market and you really know what you're doing. It can get but tricky very, very easily. It is like literally the highway to losing money in investment is when you don't know what you're doing and you don't know the nature of the products that you're using. So that is the risky part.
For example, if I'm a student and I'm working as a work student, like a mini job or work student or internship, so where I can invest my money, because some student, he told me that if he invest his money in Deutsche Bank or Sparkasse, so the interest amount is like, it's very negligible. I mean, we get hardly something out of it. So he said, if you can ask, apart from this, where are like the measures, or where are the things where we can invest this money and in long term we can have the benefits out of that.
Case, I would suggest there are two main fields.
Mm-hmm.
If you have already covered your liquidity and your risk management, then you can go into investment. And if you are at that stage, then prioritize long-term planning with flexibility for yourself, because that's where you profit the most for flexibility, for tax benefits on and that, and as well for the compound interest effect in the long term. So if they're really focused on the long run, then long-term planning is for you. But you can also sprinkle it with some midterm planning as well into market dependent or market independent options, so that you have a wide varied portfolio as well. So that is open to your preferences.
Okay, but again, if in the student phase, as you also know, we don't have that particular knowledge about where to invest. See, so is it like a consultant very much necessary? Again, I'm asking, like, is it a consultant very much necessary in the student phase, so that we have to opt for a consultant for the financial planning and stuff? Or is it like without the consultant also, if we take initial steps as a student, we can have that much understanding of investing in some fields? Like, what do you think on this topic?
I thought that I could do it myself, for example, as a student,
Mm-hmm.
and I made a lot of mistakes, and that's why I ended up landing with someone asking questions, because I realized it is a bit
Mm-hmm.
more complicated than I thought, or I wasn't getting the best deals,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't really getting the best conditions, and there are things that I didn't know about or didn't know they existed. So what worked in my country did not work here. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
kind of like even that out. So for example, at home, if you leave money in the bank, then it grows. But here,
Right.
it's you lose money,
Yeah.
and that's new to me, for example. And then on the other hand, I think that also what it helps is for students, we are aware of this, and for example, we do consultancies, basically asking questions and so on, free of cost, because we know that as a student it's much harder if you want to, like, if you have to pay for a service to ask these questions and educate yourself before making a
Mm-hmm.
decision. We would opt for like establishing trust and knowing that you're well addressed and well catered to. And then later on, if you decide to turn to someone that we basically bet on a long-term relationship, more than just saying, okay, now you pay me
Right.
this fee and then I'm going to give you the information.
Mm-hmm.
It's more
Yeah.
like I want to grow together with you on this field.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, for this kind of service, if students have some questions, you generally answer that for free, and you mostly believe in the long-term goals. So, yeah, always students are free to ask. So, yeah, as I said earlier, the link of the website is in the YouTube description. So, you can always give it a shout and check out the website. And also, if you have any questions related to financial planning and stuff, you can just visit their website, and or even you can contact Martina. She's on LinkedIn. She's super active on LinkedIn as well, so you can just now we are at the last of this session. So important tips that you can give to the students, so that if they are prepared now, they can benefit that in the future. I mean, if they know these things now at present, so they can have a better edge from the other candidates in future in terms of financial planning.
Start early,
Mm-hmm.
start informed, ask questions, and remember that a risk over long term is statistically Usually when you go for investment, like risky assets in the long term, if planned and monitored correctly, can be your greatest asset towards growth. Think about your being young. We don't really think about the old self. We don't think about what's going to happen then. We leave it to future us. And
Yeah.
that's where we fall into the trap. So think about your health status, think about the life that you imagine, think about your goals on the larger scale. What kind of person do you want to be? How do you envision your life? Would you like to be the grandpa who takes people like their parents on holiday and helps them out with college, or do you want to be the person who has to ask for help? What does that look like? Um, or do you want to retire early and work flexible from around the world and travel and discover new things? I mean, go wild. Just ask yourself these hard questions as a student, and that will put you already way far ahead than a lot of older people who are, well, farther in life, but maybe with not such a clear perspective as to where to go.
Yeah, the tips were super amazing. I don't know about the audience, but yeah, I'll incorporate some of the tips into my daily routine, and I'll also think about this for my future planning as well. So, last question of the session, as most of the audience, they are students, and some of my friends or some of my like the audience who watch my video on a daily basis, so they also think about what are the job opportunities, particularly Horbach has to offer in terms of long term, like no, I'm not talking about now, like at present, but again, in future, what are the opportunities in terms of internships or work students Horbach can offer in future? I mean, you don't have to commit now, but yeah, what are the opportunities in which student can explore in future?
There are plenty, and most people start as a student to check it out with a practicum or like basically like an internship and basically check it out and see how they like it. I'm recruiting myself constantly, so if anyone wants to join the team and is also excited about providing financial freedom and financial services to people and learning more about this yourself, so make this your own. I'm very happy to get to know you. So we have many options. We have options from people who are really into the numbers and the processes in the back office, people who like social media and marketing, and people who want to learn how to be more active in consulting and sales and basically growing a business or even entrepreneurship. So that is also very wide and broad and depending on your interests. So anyone who would like to learn more about that can always apply or give me a call.
Yeah, so you can definitely watch out the career page of Horbach Extracts, and there you can find the complete information about this topic. So, I mean, now we are at the end of this session. So, I would like to thank Martina for this entire session. It was great learning from you about financial planning. So, yeah, Martina, again, thank you. Thanks a lot for the session, and hope, like in future, if we have more comments or more doubts from the audience, we can plan for the second podcast. So, thank you, Martina.
It is my pleasure, Griffin. Thank you so much and have a successful planning.